Hello. Today I'm at my garden and I'm installing the black woven fabric along my walkways. That way I have a nice walking space that stays clean and doesn't get overgrown with weeds. I wish I had done this maybe 4 years ago instead of doing truckloads of wood chips, but the wood chips have also served my garden well. Another thing I wish I had done was maybe installed this in tandem with my fencing. That way I could go right up to the edge. So if you're installing this for the first time, it might be a good idea to kind of do it together, and that way you can go right up to the edge of your fencing. The tools you're going to need today: a mallet or a hammer or something similar, and a pair of scissors to cut down the lengths of fabric. So let's get started. I've already installed a lot of this ground cover along the edges of my walkways. So right now I'm just doing the final piece, and when I've installed the edges, I've went a little bit longer than what my bed space is. You can see my bed, it kind of stops about right here, but I've went a little bit longer to just kind of make sure there's no gaps in the cloth or anything like that. So for my final edge, instead of having this frayed part sticking up like that, I just want to tuck it in a little bit and fold it under and kind of start up here with a nice clean edge. Now, one thing you might notice about this woven ground cover is that it's 3 feet wide. My walkways actually are not 3 feet wide. You can see here that I've folded it in. So close to my garden bed, I've taken this straight edge that's not folded, and I've run that the length of my garden bed to make sure I get a really good clean line right there. But then what I've come and done is, instead of cutting this and kind of creating another frayed edge, I have just folded it in like this. So I've kind of, you can see it here, you would be folding it in a little bit, kind of at the width of your walkway. At this point, I have already laid down the side aisles of my walkway, so I am doing the other side of my walkway right now, but I've already gone ahead and around my lengths, I've laid down the length. And I went a little bit longer because my goal is to actually kind of cover these edges with a little bit of extra length. And then I would like to be able to, at the very end, instead of having this frayed edge, I'd like to fold this under like this. And that way I've got a nice solid edge here that's not frayed. So as I'm preparing to work, I am lining up this edge with the outside of my bed, and then I am folding in a little bit just to make sure I get both on even sides. And if you're using the whole 3 foot width, you wouldn't need to do this. It will be a lot simpler of a process, but if you want to have a narrower walkway, you can definitely just fold it in. So I'm just kind of smoothing that out and getting it ready. So now I'm ready to start working on using my staples to tack this down into the ground. So I actually am not going to do this yet. I'm going to save this for the very end. So I'm just going to start up here at the edge of my bed and do my first edge. And then what I like to do is pull it taut and kind of keep the tension of the fabric. So now I will be kind of pulling this, kind of keeping it taut as I can, and I'll install my next staple here. So I'm working backwards, and I'm putting staples somewhere between 3 to 5 feet. So I'm going to do another staple, and I'm going to pull it taut along my garden edge and stick that in the ground and pull that taut. And now I'll be doing the side next to my walkway where I'm doing the folding. So I'm going to make sure that this is folded in nicely, and also kind of pushing this to the edge and kind of keep it pulling forward and keeping it taut as well. now I'm back up at my top edge and I'm ready to fold it over because I've kind of seen how the sides fold over. So I just want to fold it just like that, maybe a little bit more in. And put my staples up at the top. One thing I also like to do, wherever I have two intersecting walkways, I like to put an extra staple in the middle just to kind of make sure there's not as much of a trip hazard, and that also kind of helps keep this other walkway in. Seem to have hit a rock. So I'm going to move it to a different side. Another rock. But the last thing, you might notice that this is still kind of loose. Just try to get it as taut as you can. Keep the tension of the cloth as much as you can as you are working with it. The sun is actually going to kind of make it shrink a little bit. So as it sat out in your garden for a couple weeks, it's going to kind of make it gather a little bit as it heats up. So I'm going to save these extra staples. And whenever I see, like if there's a gap, kind of if this is curling up in one area after the sun's been baking it for a little bit, then I'm gonna go back in and add some extra staples in the future. But for right now, I'm very happy with this. I like that I'm not gonna have to weed my walkways this year. The wood chips have served it well, but I don't wanna do another truckload. And now that I've taken the upfront time to get this on the ground, then it's something I'm not gonna have to do again in the future. So happy laying down the woven ground cover, and good luck.